Life is challenging and difficult. No one gets out alive. Time to suck it up, Buttercup. Get ready for a monster-sized boot aimed to help you get traction on personal change and get living. I am John Curren, your host. Join me as I share my journey exploring the forces that motivate us to change and help us get through whatever life throws at us. A swift kick in the ass. Life on your terms. Welcome to another episode of A Swift Kick in the Ass. This is your host, John Curren, and today's episode, he wanted Pop Goes the Weasel at his funeral. Master in grief like a black belt. Interview with Jen Stewart. So this is really my special honor and privilege to have Jen on the show. See how nervous I am? I'm like around royalty right now.
Oh, please.
As I sit here in the in my Askita virtual studio, which has really come a long way since Tommy and I first started doing this. We used Google Hangouts.
I remember.
So I think this was really kind of cool to bring us back, to that point. And 10 years later now.
Is it 10 years?
The show has been going on since 2014.
Wow, time flies.
So, this show, the title started out with Pop Goes the Weasel. So we just wanted to kind of mention my previous co-hosts' sense of humor and very twisted sense of humor. And I do have video proof of him saying that he wanted Pop Goes the Weasel at his funeral. So I was happy. I wasn't happy to oblige him, but it sure made for an interesting.
He wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
I think Tommy and I, we grew up together and we had so many wonderful stories and times together. And you've been a part of a lot of that as well. Going back to your wedding day. I mean, I was in your wedding.
Yes, you were.
And that, I don't remember how long ago that was.
That would have been, it is 30. It'll be 30 years in December.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
It turned you up here. Trying to adjust volumes. It just seemed a little bit low. Okay. But it's just crazy how time flies. Yeah. And this show Tommy and I created it about positive change and creating positive change. And we started really gaining a lot of traction on that when Tommy got ill. And of course, no one asked, that's the biggest category 5 kick in the ass there possibly could be. But Tommy's story ended and you and me, we were left behind. Our stories continue. And I don't want this show to be about Tommy as so much as I want it to be really about you and your journey, because you are such an incredible person. Not only were you married to my, one of my best friends for so long, but outside of that, you are a wonderful mother of Logan and Hunter, who have since grown up and flown the nest, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
And you had to help guide your children also through the death of their father. And I know that all of you were very, very close with Jiu-Jitsu family. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that you are a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I remember Tommy telling me when you first started that he knew you were going to pass him. He's like, he She has mad skills, I think is what she said, and she's a beast. And he knew that you were going to, go past him, and you have it. It's an amazing accomplishment.
Thank
Um,
you.
Not many people reach that level. So I really commend you. And,
Thank you.
how did that play into dealing with everything that was going on?
How did the jujitsu,
Yeah.
the well, I think, and you train martial arts, so you understand this. I think the skills you learn on the mat are transferable to every area of your life. And even before Tom was sick, um, hard days at work, going for job interviews, having to give a presentation, having to face something challenging, you use the same skills to calm you down, to prepare you for the moment that you do when you're going to step on the competition mat. It's, controlling the mental game. What is the ritual that you go through in the morning to get yourself prepared? How do you breathe? It's, all of the same skills that I learned in competitions and tough matches on the mat, I've applied to every area of my life, including moving on afterwards, after we lost Tom. I mean, I will, just for the record, I'm not actively training now just because life is just beyond me.
Yeah.
But and there, we could go into it. There's some other things too that I think I didn't face till a year ago of why I haven't had the itch to train as much as I used to. I'm going to digress for a minute, but
No, perfect. Feel
okay.
free. You know,
I
I just went to jujitsu, but really the question was, are there things that you've learned about yourself, looking back and going back through that process, the person that you were back when Tommy was ill and you were taking care of
Mhm,
him and all that was going on, that that part of your life, that chapter of your life is now over, and
right.
you have moved on. And I was thinking about it, how Tommy would only want the best for you. He
Mhm,
loved you, had such a special relationship. And we talked about this before,
mm,
being recorded, about how life is different now as a widow.
mhm,
So I'd like to talk
absolutely.
more about that, but also, really
Mhm,
about yourself and about what you've learned about yourself in this
sure.
process.
So I think what choice did going through when he was sick, and then afterwards when I lost him, it's what choice do you have? You keep going. You, as hard as it is to get up in the morning, put your feet on the ground and just take it step by step, minute by minute, to do what you have to do to get through. And in that same vein, honor where you feel during the day. If you are feeling like you can't face somebody today, honor that, have compassion for yourself, and take care of yourself, nurture yourself in the way you have to. And I just, not to correct you, but I want to say I didn't move on. I've kept going. Um, I've kept
Okay.
going. It's not moving on because that grief is always there. Um,
It's,
the episodes might be fewer and further between, but it's always there. There's a great visual, and I think you saw it
yeah.
posted on my Facebook with the ball in the jar, and it's a visual of about 5 different jars, and the ball in the jar is the same size, but the jar around it gets bigger to visualize the grief never goes away. Your life just grows around the grief, and that's, I couldn't explain it any better for what my life has been. Um,
Thank you for correcting me on that. You're
no,
absolutely
that's
right.
okay. And it's a common thing, and the more it's just, the more you read about grief and women who have become widows, and that's just something that that's said over and over, and nothing wrong. A lot of people feel that way too, that you moved on, but it's not what it is. It's just, who am I now? um I
Well,
I
that
don't.
Tommy was a big part. I mean,
Oh, huge.
a big
he,
part of my life as
yeah,
well, especially as far as identity and, I mean, growing up,
yeah,
childhood memories. It goes back a long
yeah,
ways. And I mean, I think about Tommy every day. I mean,
yeah.
I totally agree with you. I was thinking more of it from our stories got to continue on. You know, we
Yeah.
got the opportunity to do that. And I mean, Tommy didn't.
Yeah.
And
Well, and that's he, what he said, and I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of not living. And so that has been what has dictated my life since he's gone. I'm going to try a new adventure. I'm going to make a change that's hard to make. I'm going to keep going because that's a way to honor him and the way he wanted to live. He, he became so big when he got sick. Do you remember? I mean, he went from this guy who was kind of quiet, reserved. He would go to a party. He went and talked to anybody. When he did connect with somebody, they'd have great conversations, but he wasn't, the center of attention in a room. When he got sick, that beard grew. He wore that cowboy hat. He had the cane before he
warm
was
vanilla
not
sugar.
able to walk. Warm vanilla sugar, that special cane that
That
you
was his
had
rap
made for
name.
him. He was a big person and a big personality when he got sick. And it's like, you go and I'm going to honor you and make sure, one, I live my life as you would want me to. And two, I make sure everybody who didn't know you knows you.
You
So,
know, that's I so agree. I never really thought about it, honestly. And
yeah,
I never viewed it that way. But you're absolutely right. He actually grew. I mean, I know his personality changed. He became much more outgoing,
yeah,
and he was driven by a mess. He had a message,
yes, he did.
and he
Mm-hmm.
had a story to tell. And he really wanted. That's really why we started this podcast, is to tell our story.
Yeah,
We didn't know how it was all going to end up, but and we didn't really know what we had to offer.
yeah,
We're really trying to find our way and sharing our experiences. Um, because that's our story to tell and no one else's, but we can all learn from each other.
yeah, yeah.
And I know towards the end, there's a group of podcasters called Podcasters United. It's a
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit organization. They have brought a about 3,000, I think, or more podcasters together to talk
Mm-hmm.
about a charitable organization or a cause that you care about. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really supposed to be about the full episode. And I'm not going to make this episode about that. But
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be a good opportunity to mention them, and as well as some of the organizations maybe that helped you through that
Yeah,
period of your life. Because I know Gilda's Club
yeah. That's
was a big part of,
huge.
you know, Tommy's story at the end.
Yeah, that was our Wednesday night date night, going to Gilda's Club. They had, at the time, they were in a little clubhouse right off Davy and Andrews, and it was a historic, cute little house. And we would meet, have family dinner with all of the patients in the patient group and the caregivers in the caregiver group, and then we would go our separate ways into our support groups. Um, I didn't get much sleep during this time, so my group, who I still get to get with together with at least once a year, we have lunch together, and they're always like, "We just let you sleep," because we knew that that's all you wanted to do. So I would just sit on the couch and sleep. And that when I talk about his big personality, he was like Buddha in that room. Like they would hang on his every word in that room. But gosh, it
He
has
had a
brought
lot
him
to say.
smiles. He had a lot to say. He made amazing friends. Freddie was a very good friend who, unfortunately, we lost Freddie a couple of years ago. But I would walk in that clubhouse, and immediately Freddie would take the wheelchair, get him set at the table, get his food ready, and just kind of give me a break. And he would hang with his friend Tommy, and I get to hang with my girlfriends in the support group. They just we did our first clinical trial at Baptist. We had a very long day for his first clinical trial. I mean, 10-hour, maybe even 12-hour days. And I remember I stepped out to go to the restroom or to grab a drink or something, and I ran into one of his friends from the Gilda's Club group that was also doing a clinical trial. And so he came in to say good hello to him. The
Mm.
way his face lit up when he saw a familiar friend that wasn't me, that was there to just spend some time with him and who knew what he was going through. So Gilda's, I just can't even speak enough about how great Gilda's is. Like I said, I built friendships with my friends, my caregiver group that lasted beyond those. We're almost at 5 years since Tom's gone. Beyond that time, we just met for lunch earlier in February. We talk to each other all the time, text each other all the time. This is a group of people that nobody else understands what you've been through, but this group does. And they know the right words to say. They know when to be quiet. They know when to talk. They know when to reach out because it's somebody's birthday. It's a lasting friendship.
Anyone can like take part of that, like say family.
And
That was because I know
yes,
no one really knows or understands things like that until they go through it.
right,
I mean, I
right.
only know vicariously as well through
I
you.
recommend when I hear somebody gets a cancer diagnosis, I always recommend just check out Gilda's Club. Um, you're not going to be disappointed. They have since moved to a bigger facility. They've only expanded their programs. We were able to take part in mindfulness programs there, some educational seminars at the old one. They now do cooking classes. They've expanded their family
Hmm.
dinners. They have yoga, painting, everything. It's a community where you just, even though it's a cancer community, you forget you have cancer and you just enjoy each other in great activities. So I
And
highly
you stay
recommend
still stay
Gilda's.
in touch with the community.
Absolutely. Yeah, I still stay in touch with the community. I still support Gilda's. Um, Great people, great organization. Anybody who's affected by cancer, whether you have it, somebody you love has it, check out what they have to offer.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that it was there for you.
Me too. I give thanks for them every day.
Oh my goodness. It's I know, and I just want to say too, Jen, I know how emotional or I don't know
Yeah.
how,
No, it
I
is.
can imagine how
It is.
emotional this is. Um, I know how emotional it is for me at times.
Yeah.
And I was not Tommy and I were not as close as you were with Tommy. I didn't have children with Tommy,
That would have been a
but
little hard.
yeah, but I just wanted to say thank you so much because I know that this was, this is a lot to come back and revisit as
Yeah.
well. I mean, I guess you're
Well,
not
my gosh, can
revisiting.
you
I'm sorry.
imagine? I
You're
wouldn't
right.
have gotten near a microphone 10 years ago. So he would be like, "Are you kidding me? You're doing a podcast?"
Yeah, and actually, that's one of the reasons why I want to kind of mention fighting in the title
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you are such a fighter, and you're right too because Tommy did introduce you to jujitsu, but you had no prior knowledge of it
No.
or training, and
I cried in the parking lot the first day. Cried. I didn't want to go. He had been begging me to try it. And I was like, no, I don't think it's for me. I don't want to do it. And then one day I came home after a really hard day at work and I started hitting his heavy bag. And he seized the moment. He saw the opportunity. He was like, just try one class with me. All I ask is you try one class with me. It's like, okay. I was in the mood. I was in that fighting
yeah,
mood. So he went, he found a gym around the corner from us. He negotiated this family rate. He got us set up to do a class the next day. And he was right. I cried in the parking lot. I'm like, no, please don't make me do this. I don't want to
it's
do it. And
I
then I
can
fell in
understand
love.
that.
I fell in love.
Yeah, I love the training part of it. I mean,
Oh,
but
me too.
and I've done some episodes actually about the pain that you get out of that. It's
Yeah.
pain with purpose.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, I have bruises. Amanda was giving me a hug, and I've got bruises on my ribs because
Oh,
I was
yeah.
holding a bag the wrong way. I had kicked.
Well, I think the first 6 months, my chest hurt. It just hurt.
And it
Yeah,
hurts to
you
get
move
into
things.
shape. Yeah.
Yeah, you move things that you
But
parts of your body you never knew you could move. You feel muscles you never knew you had.
but I think that that created a really good fertile ground, I guess, really to grow from. And I know I've grown as exponentially as a person
Hmm.
since Tommy has passed. But I mean, Tommy introduced me to many things throughout my life, but towards the end, meditation,
Yeah.
he got me started with podcasting. It was
Yep.
his idea to start the show.
Yep.
And, really, really, really thankful. And for the last 10 years, we've been, we talked about life on your terms.
Hmm.
But I think that this episode actually is a great time to really mark it, is that life on your terms is sometimes really, really tough because you're not given terms that are your choice. You wouldn't choose them if, for anything, but
Hmm.
here you have these terms and you have to deal with them. There's no way out but embracing the suck,
Right.
with another Tommy term.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but from that, that's just living. And living is good, but like you said, you don't want to just be living,
Right.
breathing air, taking up space. You really want to get the most out of life. And I was thinking it's really thriving on your own terms.
Hmm.
So you
Hmm.
want to build a life, you know, our life a life on your terms is really just a life subject to your conditions and situation,
Right. Right.
which, is very unique to you. But you want to take whatever that is and use it to your advantage and thrive. Um, I really liked what you said about not moving on,
Hmm.
and that, you don't move on from people because people that really impact you, they're there.
Yep.
And I know that this show helps keep Tommy's spirit alive.
Yep. Yep. That's
And
why I love that you kept doing it. Hmm.
and I love that. It keeps him alive in my heart, and I know a lot of listeners out there knew Tom. So
Hmm.
I think, I think it's awesome. And I want to keep doing that. And
Yeah.
I would just
Yeah.
say, hold on, because the show is about ready to change, and I'm going to try to taking it to another level.
Exciting things.
So, it's time to grow and I think carry the message forward that, Tommy did have a lot to say and his personality grew. I mean, he grew as a person because I think his character, I mean, it tested his character
Right.
and his true character came out. And actually, that was another thing that Tommy taught me was about stoicism.
Before he got sick, he started studying stoicism.
Yeah,
I
he
remember it's so interesting. The year before he got sick, we had our best year ever. Kids were grown. Um, we went on the road trip to see you.
yeah,
We went to DC. We went to Savannah. We did like a long weekend at the Diplomat, just the two of us. And I remember him reading the Marcus Aurelius book because
yeah.
he was really just starting to get into the Stoicism.
And I mean, it just he has definitely helped define my character
Me too.
through the years. But that true character was tested and it came out. And that's what life does. And we have you don't really have a choice about the situations or conditions that may come your way, but you do have a choice in how face that, or maybe you don't face it. Maybe you
Right.
just
I mean, I
let it
guess you
run
do
over
have a
you. I don't know.
choice. Well, you have that choice. Do you face it or not? And, um, in my mind, I'm always like, what choice do I have? But somebody who lost a father at a young age, um, he asked me, he's like, I don't know how you did it. I said, well, your mom. I was like, what? And I said, what choice did I have? He's like, well, my
I
mom
think you
didn't
had
quite handle
choice.
it that way.
You know,
Yeah.
you never left Tom's side. You were his rock,
Yeah.
and you were right there when you needed him. And I can't say that for everybody.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
everybody is it would do that for their spouse.
there's
You
no
know, and
question. There's no
so
question about it.
for you, it may have not been a choice, but it
Hmm.
shows your values.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you know, we were solid.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
we were, and I
super
wouldn't be
couple.
who yeah, I mean, and I was a mess when I met him, so I wouldn't be who I was today if it wasn't for him. I was just a big mess. So,
He he was a pretty big mess too.
yeah, we fixed each other, I
I was glad
guess.
when you found each other.
So, yeah, um, I wouldn't be who I was today if not for him. Um, he believes in me, picked me up, encouraged me to do things that I never thought I could. And oh, now I'm crying. um, and that's why I am who I am today. And so when I face something hard now, I hear him say, and he's telling me he could do it. I can do it. So
Oh.
he's still telling me that. Okay. There's so
It
much
does
I would have never done if he didn't tell me I could, like jujitsu, and so much more. So much more.
because you were telling yourself that you couldn't do it before, right?
Um, it's funny, I'm looking at a magnet he gave me. One of my first like professional jobs when I was back at Women in Distress. I just got promoted to development director. And there's a magnet right in front of me. It says, "There's no power like desire. There's no power like desire. There's no killer like doubt." And I remember he gave that to me, and he found it somewhere and gave it to me, and I've carried that to every job. And I see it here. I'm like, I have to bring it to my new office. I mean, that was 20 years ago. He gave that to me, and it still
you,
helps.
you know, one of the things I learned, I think, at Tom's passing was when people cry for you at your funeral,
Yeah,
it means they cared.
yeah,
You know, and I plan on leaving an ocean of tears
mm-hmm.
behind. That's a really good and beautiful thing because it means that you made an impact on someone else's life and it
Yeah,
made a difference to them.
yeah.
You know, and I don't know, I think it's not complicated tears, I guess.
No, yeah,
Just the tears of love, right?
yeah, yeah.
So,
Good
speaking of, so
memories.
Tom's no longer here.
Mm-hmm,
Life goes on.
mm-hmm.
You have a life to live. You're still a young woman, really. Not giving away anyone's
Relatively,
age, but you take
relatively.
you take care of yourself. You're black belt. You know, you got things going on.
Mm-hmm.
You're you know you're a good catch from whatever you know. Um,
Uh-huh. I know
but
where you're going.
yeah, but you know, as one of Tom's friends, I know that Tom would want you to be happy and would
Yeah,
want you to con continue to get the most out of life, whatever whatever it was. And I think Tom knew that you were very strong and you could handle these things, but he also wanted to leave his family in a good position and knew that they would go on. They would have their own lives
yeah,
to live.
yeah.
I I still have to think back about some of those conversations I had with him back
Mm.
then, and oh my gosh, he's like, yeah, when I croak, or or he's like, or when I worm food. I'm like, oh, dude, come on.
Stop. Okay, can I
But
please tell the Pop the Weasel story?
yes.
Pop
Oh,
goes the
yes.
Weasel,
Yes.
please. So the day of the viewing, and remember he passed during COVID time, so it's like, do we do a viewing? This is August of COVID 2020, and we ended up, we're gonna have a viewing on Friday night. We'll Zoom it for those who can't attend or don't want to attend, and then we'll do a very private, quiet burial with his family on Saturday. So get to the funeral home early with my sisters, and anybody who's had to prepare for a funeral or have that front row seat at the funeral knows that's like the worst day, just the anticipation of going to the funeral home. I hate that day. Um, so I was in the other room. My sister Judy was in the room with the casket and Tom prepping. And the funeral director decides to test the video slideshow that you made, John, not knowing that the beginning of the slideshow you made was Tom's voice saying, when I die, I want them to play Pop Goes the Weasel at my funeral. So Judy's alone in the funeral room, the room with Tom in his body in the casket, and she hears his voice come out saying that. And she was like, luckily my other sister came in. She's like, it's the tape, Judy. It was like his last laugh. Because Judy just stopped in her tracks.
Oh my gosh.
So good one, guys.
He was definitely smiling.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So funny. So I know his spirit is just everywhere.
Yep.
You haven't moved. You're in the same place.
Same house. Yep.
Um, now you have actually two houses on that property.
Yeah.
So,
So my mom's next door. Remember, his
okay,
mom used to live there.
right.
And
So
yeah.
prior to when actually Tommy was sick,
Mm-hmm.
his mom died.
Yeah. 4 months
Um,
or 7 months before.
so then Jen's and Tommy's mom used to live with Jen and Tom on the property. They have two houses. So now Jen's mom is there,
Yep.
but the spirit remains and your life continues on.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
I've noticed some pictures of you out there in social media, and you act like you're having a good time. You're paddle boarding. You're using the water taxi and
Going to concerts.
going to concerts. And I hear a lot of woohooing.
Yes.
So,
Yes. So
so life does
I'm
go
living
on.
life. I'm living life. And I will say, I fortunately amazing friends from all different pockets of my life came around to help me. And part of that group is my girls from high school, which John, you might remember from my wedding. They were in my wedding party.
Yeah.
And the more I hung out with them, there was a mutual friend um, that I had in that group that we never, we knew each other back when we were 18. Um, Never really hung out together back then, but knew each other. And I don't know, we just started hanging around each other a lot more. And he's a good guy. He's a good guy. And then together, gosh, over a year, maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
Um, Super easy, super just good guy. I think I told you that, Tom
Well,
had
of
a
course, I would
soul.
expect nothing less but a good guy for you. And
Well,
if he
he
turns
has
out
this
not to
soul.
be,
I
we
know
have
he
an
won't.
global
No worries.
listeners
No worries.
on this podcast that would
He
probably go after him for you.
his soul, the inner core of who he is a good person.
Good.
I never thought that there would be another one in my life with that strong values and core human being, and there is. Um, Total opposite from Tom. Likes
Yep.
football, likes fishing, likes country music, likes the beach. likes concerts. So it's like
Yeah.
Bizarro Tom.
Now he knew Tom, right?
You know what? We were trying to figure that out. I don't know that they ever met. We're
His
not
name
sure.
sound very familiar to me.
So just I don't know that they would have ever met. We can't place it. We can't. If they did, it wouldn't have been a meaningful moment where they would have actually had a conversation.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, but
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
not much to talk about.
No, well, they're both animal lovers, so there's that.
No, but that's got to be tough. I mean,
It's yeah. So
because
so
Tom is still around.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Tom's ever present in the life, in my life, in my house. It takes a special man or person to date a widow because it's you are hearing about somebody that your person still loves and is still ever present in their life. And um you go to family functions, you go to friend functions, you're still going to hear stories about him in good ways and laughs and jokes that you weren't a part of. But there's this ghost of a person that's still very ever
Yeah.
present in everybody's life. But
You
it
mentioned
takes a
something on the
strong,
call. I
special
just
person.
You didn't mention it just then, but I want to
Okay,
mention it
what was
now.
that?
You said how you didn't have a choice in the matter.
Right, right. It's
In
not like a bad relationship that ended. This
right.
is somebody that was taken from me. You know,
So that love,
we would still
like you
be
said,
together.
that love is still there.
It's
The
still there.
spirit is still there. Friends and family all knew Tom
Hmm.
and
Build
made an impact
memories.
on them as well.
Yeah, we all built memories together.
Right.
Hmm.
Now, you had a pretty strong network prior to Tommy getting sick, and it just, I think, grew stronger.
Yeah, yeah. Very fortunate. Oh gosh, when he was sick, yeah, I mean, we had dinners, we had just everything we can ask for. The jiu-jitsu community came around us. But it did. Everybody, work professionally, friends, different groups, they wouldn't let me if I wanted to sit around and get down and kind of disappear. They wouldn't let me. They wouldn't let me. My 50th birthday was a month after Tom passed, and my girlfriends took me out for lunch and just kept me going in those moments. Kept me active, lifting me up, still helped me honor him too. I did the race for the Brain Tumor Society not too long ago, and so
Yeah.
many people really helped to rally around me to help train for that and fundraise for the Brain Tumor Society, all in honor of Tom, to keep his fight going. So couldn't, I couldn't do it or any of the things I've done in the past 4.5 years without people around me. And I think it's funny because I think a lot of people don't know what to do. Or I don't know what to say. Or, we
Yeah.
unfortunately have had several people around me who have just had devastating losses. And other friends, what do I say? What do I do? Should I text her? Should I not text her? What should I bring her? And it's like I've become this resource for people. But I think that's our job when we go through the suck that we've embraced.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we learn from it and we help others get through it in our way. And so that's kind of
I
where I'm
think it
at
helps
now. I'm
you.
trying to help others now.
I think it helps you rebuild your life.
Hmm.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
devastating. I mean, just
yeah,
losing my friend was devastating. I mean,
yeah,
I look back at that time of my life. That was one of the lowest
yeah.
periods of my life I've ever been.
And unless you know that pain
And
yourself, you can't understand what somebody else is going through.
and I mean it. I mean, after Tom died, everything just I came to a reckoning, honestly,
Yeah, yeah,
and that really is where this podcast came in handy for me. Is because I had to start kicking my own ass
yeah,
and just saying, I can't accept this anymore. And I'm going to start doing I'm going to stop talking about things. I'm actually do things. So I started playing guitar every day. So I play guitar every day. I've been doing that since before Tommy died.
I love that.
I still
It is.
suck.
It's just, it's okay. Are you having
But
fun?
I love it.
Are you having fun? Yeah.
Oh
That's all
yeah,
that
I love it.
matters.
And I started doing martial arts. I think Johnny was doing
Yep. When
karate.
Tommy
Yeah,
was
he
still
was
here. Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
taekwondo when
Yeah.
Tommy was alive. So he knew that
Yeah.
was going on. But I think a lot about that too when I spend time with my son. But
It's, there's no time to be afraid. And, you know, when you realize how life is so short, there's no time to be afraid and to put off doing something you really want to do and experience. And you know what? If you try it and you don't like it, so what?
yeah,
You know now. Just kind of my attitude. Just try everything. Try it at least once.
yeah, you're just I have so much. I don't know. I'm so proud of you,
Thank you.
and I think so highly of you, and I have so much respect for you, Jen.
Thank you.
Um, I mean, you were right there in the trenches with Tommy, and I know it got tough. Some of the things that Tommy told me about
Mhm.
that he went through, just in the therapy,
Yeah.
um, where
It
they,
rocks the world.
created the mask. Uh,
Oh, for the radiation.
yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't. I would. That's when I would have been like, nope, that's it.
You know,
But he was indomitable. I mean, he had
he
such a
had
spirit.
he did. He had I used to say you have the most photographed brain in the world. Like his brain would get photographed every 6 weeks. He'd go in that MRI machine. But I do, you know, when I have to go get an MRI for this or have to embrace something that really sucks, go to the dentist, get a root canal or something, I'm like, after what he did, how can I not sit here and do
Yeah,
this?
and he
That's kind
handled
of
it with
my,
such.
that's my measuring stick now.
He handled it with such courage.
He did.
I saw
Oh,
that
he
with
did.
my dad as
Yeah.
well. There was a grace
Yep.
about it, and
Yeah.
this inner strength that comes out. And I hope that some of our listeners get it, start feeling their inner strength and start
Yeah.
developing that now while
Yeah.
they're alive and healthy and unburdened by
Yeah.
a terminal illness or something else that may stop them from pursuing their dreams. I think that's a big issue nowadays, honestly. That
No, I look at him and how, God, he would have done anything to live
yeah.
and anything to find a cure and to keep
Well, he
living.
was in the
And
best shape of his life.
yeah, he was on the quest to be the healthiest 50-year-old ever when
He
this
was
happened
running a tower,
every
what,
day.
five story? That's five
Yeah,
stories
so
tall,
it's
right?
5 stories tall. He did it 20 times. So 100
And
flights
this
of
was
stairs
a
a day,
couple times a week, I think.
every day.
Oh, it
He
was
would
every day.
bring his gym clothes to work and go straight from work and do that every day until he couldn't. That's why I say he went from running 100 flights of stairs a day to not being able to take one step on his own.
Right.
It's just like that's how fast it got him. But he would have done anything he could to get that back. And so, you know, I think that's probably, now that I think about it, it's something that drives me. Like if he would have done anything, I have to do this for him. Because maybe I don't want to run right now or go to the gym right now or embrace the suck right now, but at least I have the opportunity to do it. And I think it sounds so cliche sometimes to say, oh,
It
I don't
does.
have to go to the gym. I get to
Yep.
go to the gym, but it's true.
No, I
It's
know,
true.
and I mean, I'm totally agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I actually feel the same way, and I've said the same thing to myself.
Yeah.
Um, when you're doing things, you do it because they can't.
Right. Right.
But you're here, and our story continues.
Yeah. That's what I was like. I don't know if you saw my post when I ran the 10K in Disney. And a year after he passed, my diaphragm paralyzed. I don't know if you know that.
What was it?
I have a paralyzed diaphragm on my right side. A
No,
year
I did
after he
not.
passed, yeah, a year after he passed, and I honestly, I think it's because I did hold some things on. I think my body kind of just found a way. Um, I got sick. Um, I don't know if it was COVID or not. I tested negative, but maybe it was. And I realized when I got, so this is August 2021, went back to the gym and I couldn't recover. And, after you get sick for a while, it takes time to get your strength back and your
Right.
endurance back. But it was over a month and I still wasn't recovering. So I finally went to the doctor and after a battery of tests, realized my right diaphragm was paralyzed and elevated and crushing my right lung. So they did another series of tests. Thankfully, there was no tumor causing it. There was no damage to my phrenic nerve that caused it. Whatever I had when I got sick probably just made that happen. And it might fix itself within a year or it might not. So this is me. I lost my husband a year ago.
Yeah.
And then a year
So
later, I'm
you're
like, the
having
things I love
difficulty
to do
breathing? Is it painful
when
or
I
anything?
exercise, it's not painful at all, but I just couldn't, me. I'm like you said, I like to work out quite a bit. And that was one of the ways I dealt with my grief too, was to work out in the gym. And then all of a sudden, like, I can't run 30 seconds without like having to stop and catch my breath. I was that bad.
Oh,
So seeing a pulmonologist, um, basically a year and a half passed. He's like, I don't think it's going to fix itself. So you just have to strengthen what you do have that works. Um, that's really all you can do. Luckily, you were healthy going into this, so you shouldn't see any complications until maybe when you get older. So, fast forward, this was August 2021, or it ended up being October 2021 when it all happened, and I found out. So, fast forward to January of this year, I'm running a 10K in Epcot, where Tom and I went for our very first trip together and spent so many trips with our kids. I'm
mhm.
running for the Brain Tumor Society with his name on my back. And I'm doing a race that I never thought I'd ever be able to do again because my diaphragm's still paralyzed. So I'm like running through the parks and I'm like, people all around me, and I'm like, like crying in the middle of the run because I was just taking in that moment, like, oh, I don't even know how I got in the story, but I just wanted to
It's
share it.
probably a
It was just
release,
like,
right?
oh my God. It was like, this is like
Cathartic.
the most amazing moment right now. Like all of these things just came together. Like I'm doing a race I never thought I could do. His name's on my back. We had so many memories here. Um, and Andy,
You know what
my
that means to
guy,
me?
was there at the finish line. Like how cool is that? Andy
It
was at the
means,
finish line waiting for me.
to me, that means that you're on the right path.
Yep. Yeah. But I'm like, these other hunters around me are going to be like, what is wrong with this chick? Because she's like boo hoo
Let me
crying.
ask you this. This is really odd.
Yeah.
Deja vu. Do you ever get feelings of deja
Yeah.
vu? Like
I
feelings like you've been there before, or like you've dreamed it, or you don't know what, but it feels
I
familiar.
I wouldn't say that, but I feel him sometimes. I wouldn't say it's deja vu, but it's just something so subtle when I'm not thinking about Tom. Something subtle happens, and I'm like, oh hey, you're there. Why do you
Yeah,
get deja vu?
I have no understanding of what's going on out
Yeah,
there, what's true, what's false. But
yeah,
I have feelings like that as well.
yeah,
Um, I've been working on my dad's old boat that is now
yeah,
my boat,
yeah,
and I feel like he's been there,
yeah,
um, teaching me by standing in the way and
yeah.
keeping that bolt stuck in that boat.
He's
Give me a
teaching you
hard
something.
time. Give me a hard time.
Yep, yep,
But I think it, again, this becomes part of our life and a part of who we are and how we relate to all
yep,
of these things going on
yep,
that happen to us. I think that's what life is really, really just all about. And it can get you to thrive,
yep,
thrive on your terms. I'm going to start using that, I think, more
yeah.
in the
I
podcast
I
because
like it.
you don't want to just live. We really want to thrive.
I
And
feel like I owe it to him to do it.
yeah,
Even though I owe it to myself, but I owe it to him too.
I think about some of the things I've been doing here on the podcast behind the scene. And
Hmm.
I mean, I just have to think he'd be smiling
Oh, I know.
because this is what everything that we dreamed about, um, and what we talked about starting to starting to happen.
Right, right.
And like you talked about how you felt about being on that, that overwhelming sense of feeling when everything's just coming together.
Yeah,
I kind of feel that way right now
I love it.
in my
Then you know you
life.
keep going. You got to keep
And
going.
it was so, and the timing of this too was was just perfect and uncanny, honestly.
Hmm.
Because so the way this all came about is I've wanted to have Jen on the show for a very long time. I mean, since actually before Tommy died, Tommy and I were both trying to get her on. Uh, it- and she wouldn't.
I wouldn't go on a microphone.
But I posted something about the show on Facebook, and she volunteered. She said, "When are you going to have me on the show?" It's like, "Okay,
Thought you
right
didn't want
now. Come
me.
on. I'm gonna get while the getting's good." Um, Let me just make
Just
sure.
like the jujitsu, you so seize the moment.
Absolutely. Okay. Um, so we should probably start wrapping this up
Sure, sure,
because I
sure.
know we both have lives that we need to live and dinners
Yeah.
to cook and things like
I
that.
hear Simba
Or maybe
pacing in
you
the
have
door
to get
behind
ready
me.
for a date.
No, not tonight.
Or maybe just some good restful sleep.
Yeah, that's tonight.
Um, do you have any closing statements?
Hmm. Wow, I wish you would have warned me about
Anything
this
that you want to
one.
take away?
Um, keep thriving. I don't know. I'm stumped now. I feel
Let me ask you this.
okay.
How have the kids dealt with Tommy?
They're good. They're doing okay, you know. Um, we're a close family,
Yes.
fortunately. You know, we've always been, and I thank jujitsu for that. You know, that was the common thread in our lives for so many years, and especially Logan in her teenage years, we could fight it out on the mat. It was great. Um, they're both they're thriving. They're thriving.
Logan can stand. Logan can stand on her own.
Yes.
I don't
I
think.
will plug LoganNicoleStewart.com for her art gallery.
Oh my gosh, yeah, her art is
Yeah,
really
she's setting
amazing.
up her print shop, and um, you know, Tom always encouraged them to follow. Simba's trying to get in the door behind me. Tom always encouraged them to follow their hearts and their dreams, and not, you know, not follow a career path that's necessarily safe, although you want them to be safe, but to follow what's in
Right.
their heart. And I would say they're both doing that. um, uh, Being a single parent, even when your kids are older, it's a little scary to watch them do that and like, oh, but maybe you
Yeah.
won't do this. But I also see that I see the happiness when they're doing what they want, and I know ultimately it's going to be rewarding for them.
Good.
So they're doing what their
Well,
dad
you
told them to
raised them
do.
right.
We laugh, we joke about him all the time. We tell Tom stories. We still make fun of him even though he's not here. You know, we I think sometimes when people pass, in some families, they don't talk about their person anymore.
Right.
We're the complete opposite. We text each other, we talk to each other all the time and tell funny stories.
You know, yesterday was my grandmother's birthday, and I
Mm-hmm.
was very, very close with my grandmother growing up. She moved from Chicago down to Florida to help out my parents because they worked full time and they had this rambunctious teenager kid at home. He needed someone to be
Yeah,
there,
needed the
otherwise
yeah.
he's going to get in a lot of trouble.
Yep.
But so I was very close with Nana, and it was as I was falling asleep thinking about things, and I thought, oh my gosh, like almost a whole day went by,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't connect. That I mean that kind of made I felt like the spirit of my grandmother was kind of fading,
Mm-hmm.
has faded away over time. And I don't want that to happen.
Right.
Because a lot of who I am is because of her.
I don't think you need a special day for that though. I don't think
Yeah, I
just
know. It's
because you
just,
didn't, it
but
didn't happen on her birthday.
for me, it's just that little reminder to
Yeah.
myself. But it was
Yeah.
so like late in the day that I couldn't believe like I went through the whole
You went through
day
the
and
whole
I
day.
hadn't
Yeah.
thought and remembered that. And
Yeah.
also the same birthday as one of my favorite dogs that I had,
Uh,
Ringo, who had the same birthday as my grandmother. But yeah, two important characters.
yeah.
But tell Logan and Hunter, they're always welcome.
I
They
will
want to
tell them.
come and talk about their journey.
I will tell them.
They're always welcome. You're always welcome.
Thank you.
I think you can send your fan mail here at a swiftkickandhands.com.
Yeah. All right. My parting words. I thought I would say just try anything. Try anything once. If you have a small inkling of a desire in your heart to try something, try it, because who
Yeah,
cares if you fail? Who cares if you don't like it? You can, you know, walk away if you don't like it, but give it a shot. Don't be afraid. Life's too short. Live, live, seize the day, right?
I love it. Perfect way to end.
Yep.
So we'll end
Thank
here.
you. Thank you,
Thank you
John.
so much, Jen.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. And I'm glad to see that you're at the beach.
Yep. Give my love to your family.
Same here.
All right.
Again, this is Jen Stewart, and this is John Curren on Swift Kick in the Ass. Until next time, peace.